Salman Al-Ansari is a Saudi writer and political commentator. Joins us live from Riyadh. Thanks very much for being with us. What's your response to Hassan Nasrallah's speech there, that this execution carries a message of blood, that Saudi wants Sunni-Shia strife?
Hello, Laura, and hi to all the viewers around the world. It's actually not very surprising to see this kind of rhetoric from all the Iranian-backed militias and Iranian-backed terrorists like Hassan Nasrallah and the others. It's very expected, very anticipated to see this kind of rhetoric to go on and on all the time. So we don't really care about how they perceive us. We don't really care about their rhetoric. What we care about is having the whole world to be understanding what has been happening. Because if we just focus on one person who's Nimr and Nimr and neglect the fact that all of them, 47 people, including Nimr and Nimr, were actually inciting violence in the region, and they were actually responsible for the killing of so many people. So let me tell you something, there are charges that have not been covered very well in the Western media, specifically about this specific person. Let me give you an example. There are 8 main charges: participating in the formation of a terror network, Nimr and Nimr; blocking police forces from chasing wanted terrorists; harboring fugitives; preparing Molotov cocktails. I wish he was preparing cocktails to be drunk, not to create Molotov cocktails; logistical support for local terror network; hijacking a pharmacy. Can you imagine, Laura? A pharmacy and several local stores; burning of police vehicles; public incitement of violence. That's Nimr and Nimr. We should not.
That's the okay. Let me just jump in there because for a moment, because that's the Nimr al-Nimr that Saudi is portraying. That's the Nimr al-Nimr that Saudi court has found guilty. But he will say himself that he has never borne arms.
Okay, so anybody can say this about himself. Even some ISIS militants can say, okay, they don't use arms, or some of them would say we don't use arms. And some of them actually, there is someone else whose name is Faris al-Shuwail. Faris al-Shuwail, this person is one of the people, the 47 people, and he himself said that he's not using arms. But what he did was he wrote a book asking for the killing of police officers in Saudi Arabia. So what I see is Faris al-Shuwail, who is a Sunni, by the way, is exactly the same as the other guy who is Nimr and Nimr, who actually asked for violence, who asked to go and create riots in the region, and also ask for the judge and the control of Iran over not only the region but the whole world. That's what was said by himself, and it can be seen everywhere. So it's just very surprising how we can see the
Let me put to you then Amnesty International's claims, because of course, although Saudi may not hold Amnesty much in store, much of the rest of the world does. It has called these trials unfair, particularly Nimr al-Nimr's trial unfair, saying that it's using the guise of terrorism to clamp down on dissent.
Okay, that's very actually interesting that they are saying this. It actually tells us that there are some kind of hidden agendas of people who actually provide them with access to information. I would like to ask such organization, did they get the information from the real authorities who can tell them exactly the charges? I'm pretty sure not. They were not even ready to do this, because it's actually more fashionable to just claim and accuse Saudi Arabia of this and that, which is completely ironic, to be honest. So what I would like to say, if this organization itself talked about the poet Ahmed al-Nuaimi, who has been killed by the Iranian regime just because he is Sunni and just because he just wrote a poem, did they talk about this? They never talk about this. Why?
They talk about an awful lot of cases. They don't specifically target Saudi Arabia. Let's just return to your concerns about the Western media's response to this. I mean, the West is rightly concerned that this execution is going to stir up Sunni-Shia tensions in the region. Is that not a fair concern to have?
Okay, let me tell you something. It's not fair at all to say this, because the rule of judgment should be there. The rule of the court should be there. It's exactly the same. We can say it this way. We can say Al-Qaeda people would actually threaten Saudi Arabia if we kill their people. Does that mean that we should stop executing Al-Qaeda people? Not at all. We should actually keep going forward with all terrorist groups, disregarding their sects, disregarding their religious affiliation. That's the difference between Saudi Arabia and other countries. Saudi Arabia does not differentiate between being Sunni or Shia.
Okay.
That's why
let me just jump in with one final question,
people,
if I can,
most of them were
Salman,
actually
because
Sunni.
we don't have much time left, but I am interested to know, in Qatif, in the Eastern Province, if and when we see protests rising up, how is Saudi going to respond to them?
Okay, I think the idea of the protest and stuff, it's not going with the high momentum as so many Western medias are thinking. It's not actually true. I actually have a friend of mine who is actually from Shia group. He is Shia Saudi, and he told me that this judgment of Nimr and Nimr has been actually delayed so much that it shouldn't be delayed this much. Why? And I was actually surprised that he said this, but he told me that this guy is a man of fitna. Fitna means a guy who creates chaotic situations in the region. You think that the Shia people in Saudi Arabia are all with Nimr and Nimr? I'm pretty sure that they're not. But some of them actually fear speaking about this because they will be getting some kind of marginalization by their inner community, which I can understand at the moment, but I cannot understand in the future, because all the Saudis actually having this kind of formation of being against terrorism, with no differentiation between Shia or Sunni. So what we are asking for is to be having a policy of never forget and never forgive, disregarding any terrorist groups. We cannot sympathize with any terrorist groups, either Shia or Sunni. That's our stance.
Salman Al-Ansari, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for taking the time to join us here.